Hi crafters, welcome back. It's Jonna with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we're going to make this step card. Now we've made this card before. It does have all the rounded corners, but this time it has a little extra card on the front that you can open and reveal a message. This card will stand. It lays flat for shipping. You can write a message on the back, and it measures 6 by 6 when it's completed. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll need our square board. And our first piece is going to be cut at 10 inches by 6 inches. And then we're going to have to do some scoring on this, but for right now we're just going to put this aside and we'll come back to it. So then we're going to need one piece, and this is going to be cut at 7.5 by 3 3/4. Then we will need one piece, and this is cut at 3 3/4 inch square, and then a layer on top of that at 3.5 inch square. Now next, for the two sayings at the top and the bottom of the card, they can be the same size. Mine are not quite the same size, and they are cut at 3 1/2 inch square on one of them and 3 1/4 on the other. But again, they can be either 3 1/4 or 3 1/2. They will both fit. Then we need 7 pieces cut at 1 3/4 inch square. So now we're done with the scoreboard for right now, so we're just going to move it off to the side. We're going to take the base piece, and this is where we're going to do some of our markings. So we are going to mark this at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6, and 8. And we're going to do that at both the top and the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and draw a faint line just to connect all those so that we can see where we're going to do our scoring and our cut marks. If you've made a basic step card before, these are the same directions that are out there. So now we're going to turn the card, and on this side we're going to mark this at 2 inches and 4 inches, and this is on the 6-inch side of the card. And you'll want to do that at the top and the bottom. And then again, we are going to just draw a faint line just to connect that top and bottom mark. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do some folding. So I'm just going to start. So this is going to be a mountain, a valley, a mountain, a valley, a mountain, and a valley. We are going to cut from here to here and from this line to this line. So I'm going to grab the scoreboard again, and we're going to score this before we cut it. So we're going to take the side that we had done, and we are going to score this. At the 2-inch mark down to that first line. Then we're going to score it at the 4-inch, and we're going to go down to that second line. And then we are going to work from the bottom up to that middle line, and then from the 8-inch up to that first marking. So when I turn this over, you can see that we have a small mark, the 2 bigger ones, and then a small mark. So we are done with our scoreboard, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move that out of the way. So we need our cutter or a trimmer, and we are going to cut those lines that I had shown you prior. So I'm going to line this up so that the 2-inch mark is lined up in my track. And then I'm going to cut from these 2 dots that I had made on the paper. So from the 2-inch mark, or if you're going from the back side, the 8-inch mark, Need to turn this just to make sure it's lined up. So we're going to go from the 8-inch mark and go down to the 4-inch mark, and that's on the trimmer. Then I'm going to flip the paper over, and we are going to do the same thing. So now if you've left your blade, it should be exactly lined up at the 4-inch mark and then go down to the 8-inch mark. And so this is what you should have right now. So we're going to move our trimmer. And now we're going to go ahead and erase all these marks that we had made. Okay, so now that the eraser marks are gone, we're going to start folding this. I think I'm going to turn mine over so you can't see the pencil marks. So the first one is going to be a mountain fold, and the next top one is going to be a valley, then a mountain, so as you start squeezing this and just working that fold, then it'll be okay and you can fold the card in on itself. So just hold the bottom and then just squeeze the top in, and the card will start to collapse on itself. Now we can go ahead and we can crease out those fold lines. And then flip it over and do the same thing so that the fold lines on the other side are done. And I've still got some pencil marks on this side, so I'm going to go ahead and erase those. So that is your basic step card. So I'm going to grab our punch, and this is just a corner punch. I probably got it on Amazon. I'm going to use the bigger punch on it, so it's the 10 millimeter. And we're going to punch every corner on here except for probably one on the back. So we're just going to punch all of these corners out. There's no particular, order that you have to do it in. It doesn't matter, just as long as you get them all punched out. And the same punch size. As you can see, I keep forgetting. Now I am doing it both layers. If you have a good punch, it will punch through both layers of the card. And with this punch, if you do miss, it does help. It will let you repunch it. This is the last one. These two are the last tricky ones. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just doing the same thing. Just put it in the punch and then punching it out. So on this card, we actually did punch every single corner on this card. Now we also need to do the corner pieces on these 7 panel pieces. So I'm just speed throughing this to cut all of these. So those are all done now. And we also need to do the pieces for the front of the card on the 2 panels that we're going to put the extra card and then the extra saying. So for this larger piece, we're going to fold this in half. You could score it and then mark it, but we're going to fold this in half. Just making sure it's lined up, and then I'm going to crease it out. This is pretty thick paper that I'm using. So again, I'm going to punch all these punches. Nope, wrong one. Now if your board won't go through, you can do all layers, or you can do one layer at a time. So that piece is going to sit right there, and I did do all the corners because it looked better with all the corners popped out. And then we're going to do this piece, and this is going to be the top panel, and then the piece that goes on top of that. And then these are my sayings. I'm going to do those too. Okay, so now everything is finally punched out. That's probably the hardest part of the card, is doing all the punching. Okay, now for the assembly of the card. So we're going to put the bigger pieces off to the side for right now, and we are going to glue all of the little panel pieces on first. So we're going to glue all of these pieces down. I'm just going to lay them down to show you where they go. And just making sure that the pattern is going the same way. So as I'm laying these down, I also want to make sure that they're going in the same direction. So I'm going to glue these down. So for the next part, we're going to work on this first piece, and this is the extra little card that will be on the front. And this is just going to get glued down to this section right here. And again, I'm just using my bone folder just to push that glue in. So that's that piece there. Now, so I'm just going to flip this around, and I'm just going to crease out that fold line one more time. Now for the top section, this is not going to be a card. You could put a second card there if you wanted to, but I'm going to again use the pattern paper. We're going to glue that down first. Make sure that your pattern is going the same direction if you have a pattern paper. And then I'm going to glue this green piece down. This is just going to add some color to the card, just give it a little bit of, just a pop of color on that green that's in the pattern paper. Okay, so now that that's secure, so this is what we have so far. It's looking pretty good. So now for the two pieces, the two sayings, we've got this top saying, and I want to show you what I did. So before I stamped this, I had cut the piece out, and then I didn't want the heart to show on the outside of the card. So I closed the card, and I used my pencil, and I just drew a line just where the card was going to sit, so that I knew where I could stamp and it be hidden when the card was closed. And then I knew that, and then the top piece, so I could put my saying in the top middle piece. And that way it's just another fun surprise that the recipient of this card is not going to see until they open the card. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue that down. And then for the other piece of the card, now I did do white on white, which I should not have done because you can barely see it. And then I've got my little lion. I'm going to put him on the card right here. So he looks good there, but I don't like the white border against the white border of the card. So I think I'm just going to I'm going to get a marker. I'm just using an alcohol-based marker. And I'm just going to go ahead and just line the edge of the card. And that'll just give it a very subtle border, but pop it off of that white background. I could have added another layer, but I didn't want it to be just that much heavier either. Okay, that looks a little bit better because you can kind of see that it just does pop just a little bit. So we're just going to glue this piece down. Just going to make sure it's centered. And then I add my little tiger, my little lion, right to the card here. This is another character that I drew. And I'm going to put him just a little bit at an angle so he doesn't hide the love you. So that is the card in itself that we made today. So I'm going to add a heart to the front of the card, I think, and I'm going to do it in that same green color. So I'm going to add this heart just to the front with nothing on it. Just thought the front of the card needed just a little bit of a pop. And then while I was here, I decided since I had some green little hearts, I was going to add more hearts to the card too. Can never have too many embellishments, right? Let me grab the other glue. So I'm just going to put some glue in here and I'm just going to pop these down. I'm not going to do too many, but just think it adds just a little bit of extra to the card. And then we'll do some on the lion too. There you go. That is the card that we made today. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take a die cut, so anybody could make it. I just added the extra front panel as I thought it would just be fun. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. There's more videos coming. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.